5 mods for Medieval 2 Total War to play in 2020. Medieval 2 Total War is an interesting game to evaluate for me. It has its strong and weak points, but personally, in my opinion, on release, the vanilla game was a pretty weak effort, especially when compared to the classic original, Medieval Total War. I actually found it weaker than Rome Total War at the time, based on certain limitations and simplifications introduced in it. However, the fact that it basically runs using an enhanced version of the legendary Rome Total War engine means that modders have been able to create some true mod masterpieces. In this video, we will be highlighting 5 Medieval 2 Total War mods players should either try or revisit in 2020. Number 5. Vanilla Beyond. If you are not a fan of when mods take the base game and add a billion extra units and a billion new traits and stats and all kinds of fluff, and you just want a mod that expands the base game while keeping its essence intact, then Vanilla Beyond is for you. It fixes several of the bugs in the main game and adds a lot of features from the Kingdom's expansion campaigns into the base game's campaign, adding a lot more flavor to the regular game. It is a great mod if you want more of what the vanilla Grand Campaign offers. The map is bigger and looks nicer, the campaign and battles run great, and they don't push the Medieval 2 engine to its limits, unlike other mods on this list. It also adds in several factions, including the Khwarezmians, Cumans, Irish, Armenians, and others, which greatly improves the variety in the Medieval 2 campaign. One important fact about this mod is that it isn't 100% dedicated to historical accuracy and realism. There are a few things that will feel out of place to you if you appreciate a more realistic campaign. However, I can't fault the mod for this. It does what it does very well, and the mod creator does make it clear that complete historical accuracy was not in the cards for this mod. Some of the most egregious offenses, such as having Portugal start out controlling Navarre, and a few other things, are changed for the sake of accuracy, but other things, such as Milan being in control of Genoa, remain. In terms of its gameplay refinements, it is quite good and is a fast-paced, exciting campaign. This is not the mod for you if you want a deliberate, slow-paced campaign experience. However, if you love Medieval 2 Total War, and want to have a vanilla experience that is enhanced in almost every way and doesn't require a PhD to understand, then this is the mod for you. Number 4. Third Age Total War and its submods. Third Age Total War is perhaps the most famous mod for Medieval 2 Total War. It recreates Middle-earth at the time of the Lord of the Rings novels, so you can relive the experiences you love from the books and movies. I would say that in terms of its campaign, it is not quite as polished or well-developed as Fourth Age Total War, the most prominent Lord of the Rings mod for Rome Total War that I also highly recommend. However, its battles and sieges are second to none, they are brilliantly done, and the work on the custom settlements is phenomenal. There are also a slew of submods for Third Age that really expand upon the base mod or change it completely. A few of the prominent ones I recommend are Divide and Conquer, the 4.0 unofficial patch, and the Massive Overhaul submod. Personally, in terms of immersion, I find Fourth Age for Rome Total War to do the pure fantasy atmosphere a bit better, but Third Age and its submods are undoubtedly some of the best mods for Total War ever created. Rest assured, with Third Age and its abundance of submods, you will probably find the Lord of the Rings experience you want in 2020. Number 3. Broken Crescent. Broken Crescent is a very historically accurate and immersive mod that zeroes in on the part of the Medieval 2 base campaign that was pretty much the most ignored by the Creative Assembly, the Middle East. The map encompasses Central Asia, parts of India, and more of Africa, in addition to the Near East and the Caucasus, in an effort to really flesh out and portray this part of the world accurately, realistically, and completely. There are quite a diverse array of factions to choose from here, and everything is very well fleshed out. The Byzantines, the Georgians, the Khwarezmians, the Ghorids, the Abbasids, the Imamate of Oman, and everyone's favorite, the Ghaznavids, are ready and raring to go, with a full assortment of great-looking units. The units in Broken Crescent are especially well done. I followed this mod as it developed in the years following the release of Medieval 2, and I saw how much work went into every little detail of each unit for each faction's unique unit roster. It really does justice to the medieval Middle East, and it is definitely worth playing in 2020, especially since it has received a nice series of updates over the years. Number 2. Stainless Steel. Stainless Steel is a massive mod that enhances the base game and adds a late-era campaign, a la the original medieval Total War, which had early, high, and late-era campaigns. It is incredibly modular. You can choose to activate or deactivate certain parts of the mod you like or don't like Big's Grim Realism versions 2 or 5, graphical enhancements like permanent arrows and javelins, which you can activate or deactivate depending on the graphical prowess of your computer, and even the type of AI you want to face during your campaign. It increases the historicity of the base game, which was absolutely horrible in my opinion when it comes to being historically accurate, in the vein of Rome 1. Like, why does Portugal own Navarre? Why is the capital of Armenia province Yerevan in this time period? Why does Milan own Genoa? Why is Spain called Spain? I could go on and on. The map in Stainless Steel is expanded and looks absolutely incredible when compared to the base game. The game is far more challenging, but also fair. It is very well polished and does not have a tendency to crash at the worst times. Its inclusion of era campaigns is great fun, especially if you're looking for a real challenge, like the late-era Byzantine campaign. The battles and sieges are incredible, and everything in battles looks far better than vanilla Medieval 2. Stainless Steel even has a slew of submods that cater to the tastes of many different types of players, so you will absolutely find an experience that is suitable for the kind of player you are. The most prominent are probably the Ship submod, the Titanium submod, and the Historical Units and Recruitment Buildings submod, Herb, which all increase the realism of the campaign and add factions as well. Of these, the Ship submod is probably the most polished, but I also enjoy Titanium and Herb just as well. In terms of modifications for Medieval 2 that remain focused on the era that vanilla Medieval 2 sought to portray, Stainless Steel is the most polished, the best looking, and the most modular of all of them, given its slew of submods and the installer that allows the user to personally customize his game experience. I can't give the Stainless Steel team enough credit for all the work they put into this. I also want to highlight the important work of Gigantus, who recently made installing Stainless Steel quick and painless for the Steam version of the game. You can find a link to this new installer in the description below. This is truly a great mod that deserves your attention, even in 2020, especially considering that some of its submods are still in development. Number 1. Europa Barbarorum 2. I could go on and on about how incredible EB is as a concept and as a mod series. As someone who loves history, Europa Barbarorum for Rome Total War was a great inspiration for me as a kid, and even though I was a nerd and knew quite a bit about the Roman period, there was just so much information jam-packed into this mod that I learned at least a few new things during every play session, or every turn, even. EB2 takes EB for Rome Total War and completely remakes the experience based on the Medieval 2 engine. So much is greatly improved due to the superiority of so many different aspects of Medieval 2's engine when compared to the older Rome Total War. While a lot of the graphics, music, and loading screens are reused from EB1, this is a good thing. EB1 is a masterpiece and not everything had to be scrapped for the sequel. The informative loading screens, one of my favorite parts of EB1, make a return here, as do the interesting This Year in History notifications that inform the player of what happened historically in that given year, down to who won the wrestling competition in the Olympics. Now that is detail. While Rome 2 is a much newer game, I would say that the campaign in Rome 2 works so differently when compared to EB2 that it is very hard to compare them. I enjoy a lot of the new gameplay mechanics and design decisions of the newer Total War games, including Rome 2. But given Rome 2's limited modability, I don't think it can ever reach the pure level of detail and historicity that is present in EB2. EB2 runs like a dream at maximum settings, and it looks phenomenal, especially the very well-designed units. The campaign map is also great. The map, which cannot be modded in Rome 2, contains more detail and interesting features in addition to its redesigned looks compared to the vanilla Medieval 2 map. The only issue I would point out is that a lot of the card graphics, especially character portraits and building cards, are lifted from EB1. While the EB1 graphics are great, some of them seem a bit out of place here. There are some unit cards that are not the best they've ever done either. A lot of people seem to find EB2's campaign to be a bit of a slog, since it is a challenge, especially at the beginning, to get your economy going and to create decent armies depending on the faction you start with. I've seen a lot of comments regarding army composition being difficult to manage, since there are so many similar types of infantry that look different but have similar functions, and there are also factions where, especially in the early game, it can be very hard or impossible to get an army together that isn't a jumbled mess of troops of varying ethnicities, looks, and types. However, I want to make it very clear that this time period, and this absolutely goes for the medieval time period as well, was absolutely not known for its uniform armies comprised of troops that wore the exact same outfits or utilized the exact same weaponry as others in the army. Armies were largely hodgepodges of whatever the king or warlord could muster at any given time. They were historically difficult to manage and did not look very uniform or nice at all, so I actually appreciate this realism in a mod completely devoted to historical realism. In terms of the campaign map gameplay, it is good that it's a methodical experience, in my opinion. If you don't prepare, if your military is not ready, then you shouldn't be able to easily take over too much at once. Kingdoms that expanded too quickly oftentimes had serious issues in maintaining their gains. Alexander the Great, Tigranes the Great, Mithridates VI of Pontus, etc. The soundtrack is nice and memorable and is a real pleasure to listen to, with the exception of one of the battle tracks, which is rather grating. You'll know which one. Anyway, there's my list for the 5 mods for Medieval 2 to play or revisit in 2020. Again, all of these mods and their rankings were just my opinion, but I hope you find it helpful and insightful when looking for a mod to play this year. I know that I left some major mods off the list, such as the Warhammer mod. That's only because I haven't had a chance to play it, and a few other very good mods. I will definitely think about making another top 5 or even a top 10 later on. Thanks for watching. See you next time.